We begin with Gary Chalmers III ringing the doorbell outside of Seymour Skinner's place of residency. The establishing shot of the house establishes the location where the following events will soon occur. Skinner opens the door and greets the superintendent with the following words, "I hope you're prepared for an unforgettable luncheon." This implies he is aiming to have a memorable time with the boss. But that idea is quickly shattered upon the unfortunate realization that his potentially delicious roast had been ruined. But as usual, he devises a new plan to hide the truth from Gary Chalmers by suggesting to himself that he purchased fast food to disguise it as his own cooking. Delightfully devilish, Seymour. But as he attempts to secretly run out the window, the superintendent bursts into the kitchen and is quickly suspicious of him. We're then interrupted by some made-up theme song for a made-up series I really wish existed, followed by Gary Chalmers yelling, He then panics and comes up with an excuse to cover up what he's doing, explaining the reason for why he appears to be resting his leg on the windowsill.
Stretching my calves on the windowsill. Isometric exercise.
The superintendent begins to question the smoke coming out of Seymour's oven, and instead of simply turning it off like most of us would, he conveniently claims he's cooking steamed clams. Visibly suspicious of his actions, Gary heads back to the dining table, allowing Skinner the chance to run off into the extremely popular local fast food restaurant, the Krusty Burger. It's also really important to note that Skinner manages to grab more than a couple hamburgers in just a short amount of time, for this is a genius idea exercised by the episode's writers on how fast food works in comparison to slow food. Then Seymour gaslights his boss into believing that he originally said steamed hams, instead of steamed clams as we obviously heard. This is due to the fact he bought hamburgers from a local fast food restaurant, and to disguise that, he passes them off as his own cooking. When Gary questions this, he claims it to be an old family recipe, with the name steamed hams supposedly originating from the regional dialect of upstate New York. But he's from Utica and he's never heard anyone use the phrase steamed hams, so in response, Skinner claims it to be an Albany expression. This is genius because Albany is a real place in New York. But as expected, Seymour's total fabrication starts to slowly unravel itself, as Gary realizes that not only do the burgers look awfully identical to the ones they have at Krusty Burger, the so-called steamed hams appear to have obviously been grilled as opposed to what the name suggests. In complete trepidation of the events that may follow as a direct result of his lies, he quickly excuses himself for approximately 1 second and desperately calls it a day in hopes of getting his boss out of the house as fast as he possibly can. But the fire raging in his kitchen grabs his attention, forcing Skinner to come up with the most outrageously panic-driven excuse of them all.
Good Lord, what is happening in there? Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within his kitchen. And he still went with it. This is another great example of the intelligent and expertly written commentary on how the human brain reacts under panic and stress. When we're stressed and stuck in a situation that doesn't give us nearly enough time to think thoroughly, we tend to panic and do things without thinking rationally on the cards we're being dealt with. The iconic Aurora Borealis clip very subtly pokes fun at this human trait in a very clever and comedic way. But lucky for Skinner, the superintendent sees nothing too unusual from this and makes his way out with the following words, "Well, Seymour, you are an odd fellow, but I must say, you steam a pretty good ham." The segment then comes to a close through the use of a cyclical ending, a powerful way of displaying a secret message to the audience. Can you guess what it is? The secret message is that in life, if we don't learn from our mistakes and confront our problems, we are doomed into forever repeating the events we wish to avoid. This could even be interpreted as a hidden reference to the hit 1994 animated classic Disney's The Lion King, a work of art having also used a cyclical ending, with the song Circle of Life being used to describe how all forms of life work on a very basic and fundamental level. In conclusion, steamed hams is simply art. There is absolutely no conceivable way in which you can dispute that. And in case you still don't get where I'm coming from, I'll have you know that to fully understand this artistic masterpiece, you are at least required to have an IQ of over 744. With that being said, I hope you relished my breakdown of TV's most significant turning point since the introduction of colour. It would be much appreciated if you'd share this video with your platonic companions. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of my my latest uploads. My next essay will be a breakdown on the beloved sex scene from James Cameron's 2009 blockbuster hit. See you then.